Hey everyone, it's Alessio. Hope you're well. In this video, I'm joined here by our good friend Charlie Burton. And of course, as I'm sure you know, Charlie Burton has been a trader for over 24 years. And what I'm going to talk with Charlie about in this video is one particular market, which Charlie has an interesting call about, an interesting prediction about. It is a metal, one of the precious metals. So basically, we're going to talk about silver and where he thinks this metal could be going. So Charlie's going to talk about where he thinks this particular precious metal could be going in the next several weeks and months. It's going to be quite interesting. Join us. All right, guys, welcome back. So, Charlie, in this video, we're going to talk about one key precious metal that often gets ignored, but I think it should be, we should pay attention to it. Now, we often talk about gold sometimes in these videos. People often talk about gold, but people seem to often forget the other important precious metal, silver, and that's what I want to talk with you about. And I know there's a lot of our viewers who do want to see analysis of silver in these videos. So tell me, first of all, are you someone who holds precious metals at the moment, or are you looking to get into it in the future?
I hold, and for the purposes of disclosure, I do own silver. I've owned silver for the last 3 years or so ago. I bought it. I'm trying to think when it was now. Yeah, about 2018 I bought silver. So yeah, nearly 4 years, I guess, approaching 4 years ago I bought physical silver, that is.
Before we go on to metals, I mean, what kind of markets do you actively trade on a daily basis? Now, I already know the answer because I know you quite well. But for people who may not know, tell us a little about what you do, a little bit about what your daily lifestyle is like.
Yeah, I mean, my go-to markets are anything against the dollar, I guess. So a dollar-based market. So I will trade euro dollar, pound dollar, the major currency pairs, gold, oil, but really, and certainly over the last, and I do go through periods in my trading where I'll get really focused on sometimes just a couple of markets, and I can be trading a singular market almost continuously for a year or more at a time until I've traded the patterns and the market that I'm seeing until it's reached its natural conclusion. So at the moment, there's a lot of euro dollar trading that I've been doing. So over the last year or more. So because there's certain patterns that I've been trading there, so I'll go where the patterns are. And because I've always been a believer as a trader in focus. Some traders, and it's very much a personal choice, depends on you as an individual, but some traders want to be watching a watch list like this, and they're in and out of a bit of everything. I'm I'll have a watch list, but once I've focused in on one or two markets, then I'll trade those religiously almost until the patterns, like I said, have seen they've come to their fruition. So yeah, I like to focus on a few things, and I'll invest in other markets. I'll invest in cryptos, and at times when the time's right, like over the last couple of years, there's been some really good opportunities. But yeah, as a trader, and there's a difference between being a trader and an investor. As a trader, true, my go-to markets are dollar-based, and at the moment, I've done a lot on the euro dollar.
Great, Charlie. Let's go to your charts. We're gonna go into your specific charts you have on the metals, especially silver, and let's see what you got. Okay, go ahead and switch on your screen whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I can zoom in a minute, but I think it's important for me to get that context to be zoomed out here on this chart as well. You can see where my cursor is at the moment, around 2016. And during this period, once we got to around about 2018 or so, that's when this market got really interesting to me, the silver market, because you can see my black moving average on here. This is a monthly chart, and that's a 50 period moving average on the monthly chart. And you can see that price was hugging the 50 there, just hugging it for like 2.5 years or so. And I was talking to my traders, boring them for about a year or more, saying, oh, I call this hand railing. And so price was hand railing the monthly 50 here. And when I see this sort of longer hand railing pattern, then to me it's a bullish pattern. It's just a case of when it goes. And so as you can see, it didn't break out initially. It actually came down into 2018, but that for me was enough. I think there were some divergences that went on. I know you trade divergences back down in that period, and I wanted to buy physical anyway. And I think if you're not trading with leverage and you're just buying something unleveraged, you don't have to get the absolute pinpoint level, do you? It doesn't really matter so much.
Yeah.
So I felt it was a good level. Prices, we can see, did come down into the pandemic, and it fired down, but it didn't matter. I bought my silver a year or two beforehand. I see it as a longer term play, but I loved this pattern here through 2016 through to sort of 2019, before then it started to break up. And it's a lovely pattern here that we've broken up higher over the last couple of years. Yes, silver has consolidated, but as we can see, it's turning up, gold's turning up. And I think this is a lovely looking long-term pattern. You see the moving averages are all starting to fan out on top of one another. The 50s crossing through the 200 in a golden cross, with the 20s in the right level, or 21, whatever one you want to use. And so technically it's a decent looking chart, which has come off of, realistically, we're looking at the lows from 2015 or so, right way to 2020. So a long-term effectively consolidation, and so or an accumulation phase, as we talk it in technical analysis. And so yeah, I think it's got my view on this is, I think that silver over the longer term, I mean, I've bought it to sort of hand down to my daughter if I can. And so but yeah, I'm going to go out with a I'm pretty bullish on it, and I think that ultimately those highs of 2011 I do think are a potential, and so that's a sort of a big call as far as that's concerned.
So Charlie, in terms of your 2022 end of year, in the next several months of this year, are you saying therefore that you expect the highs of 2020 to be taken out? So the resistance at the highs at 2021, I think it was, or 2020 approximately, there, near $30 approximately, was that? So you expect $30 to be taken out?
I think there's a higher probability. I mean, like you say, we can never say 100%, but I think there's a good probability that those highs of 2020, 21 are tested. So I think we've got enough time. I think the market conditions are supportive of silver and gold at the moment, and so yeah, I think that they, it's only what we're at the moment, $25. So I think that it's only $5 to go, and I think it's certainly got potential to be able to do that. Yeah.
And what would have to happen on silver to change your mind? So, for example, I know you're bullish on silver, and I know you expect higher prices. What would have to happen to say, you know what, that I'm wrong about it? So, what price level is the key support for you right now?
Well, I'm a big believer, as you know, in multi-asset analysis, and so you don't, a bit like, you don't just look at a singular time frame, so you do multiple time frame analysis, but you should also look at corresponding assets as well. So for example, if you're looking at euro dollar, you should look at some of the other currencies against the dollar and see what they're doing as well. And it's the same with silver, like you've already said, how silver behaves relative to gold. And sometimes what can help you is by looking at the other another asset class, and we know that silver and gold, they have that relationship. So I'd actually come across to my gold chart, and there it is. If I take this now back to my weekly chart here, so part of what would influence my view on silver would be if gold actually came back. I mean, it doesn't look like it at the moment. It's having a great run, as we can see here on the weekly chart. But if it came back down to my trend line here, and if it was to get a breach and close below this trend line, then you can pretty much guarantee that silver would be coming down as well. And so that would be a technical break. So it's always worthwhile not just looking at silver as a singular entity. We have to look at other markets as well. So that gold price there, it would very much influence how I look at silver.
I agree. And I think, as the saying goes, so goes gold, so goes silver. Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right. Looking at two charts, two different markets at the same time does improve your analysis, and it also reduces the risk of false breaks, false moves, things like that as well.
Yeah.
Potentially. So I agree with you. You're right about that. So in other words, I don't know if you mentioned this already. Did we mention your ultimate target for silver this year? I don't know if you mentioned or covered it. I can't remember.
Well, I don't. Let me take this back out to maybe to the monthly chart of silver again. I don't stick to time-based targets like that to say where we're going to be at the end of 2022. I know it's what a lot of analysts on the TV do, but for me, it's difficult to say categorically, where a market might be by the end of the year. But I do think that silver has certainly, there's enough time that we do have. Still got, we're only barely into March, and we have more than enough time for silver to get back to those highs of 2020 or 21, actually, sorry, 2021, and test those and potentially go beyond those. So back to $30 and potentially higher. So I think there's plenty of time for that to happen. And like I said, in the right market condition, I'm not going to call an absolute level because I think that's very difficult as far as timing is concerned. But I'm just, I see this as an overall longer term bullish chart, and I do think that 30 is would be a level that at some point this year, I think it should, it's got a higher probability of at least testing that, and then we'll see what happens if price does get there. Does it get rejected? Does it break out? But that's how I'd be looking at it.
I know you got some great stuff coming up in the next several weeks. I'm going to talk to everyone, but just to let everyone know, Charlie's coming out with some great new material, really amazing stuff. So I'm going to talk to you guys about that in the next several weeks. So watch this space, and he's going to give you guys some great deals as well. I know he's going to give you a free trial. I think you have a system in place where you can give all of our viewers an absolutely free.
You battered me down to give your viewers a free trial.
I did.
I don't give free trials, but Alessio always said, but my traders, they would really appreciate this. And so we came to an agreement that when this happens, that we'll do something for your members. So absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So just let everyone know, I really did force his hand here. So I said, look, we got thousands of viewers here on YouTube. Can you give us some kind of free trial of your stuff, of your, for example, trading room, your artificial intelligence, everything else? And yes, so I've arranged this with Charlie. In the next several weeks, hopefully by April, I'm going to let you guys know. I'll give you all the details of that and how you can get access to it. So watch this space. I'll mention in my future videos. Thank you, Charlie, for that. I really appreciate it. And thanks for doing this interview with us.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on board. And we do these periodically, don't we? And it's always fun to debate the markets, isn't it?
Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Bye for now.